Starting the recording now. With that being said, Ted Corcoran joined, I think it's Finkel, hopefully I pronounced that correctly,
yes,
Toastmasters Club in 1985 in Dublin. Having served a club and district level, he was elected district governor of District 71 for the year 1994 to 95. He led his district to President's Distinguished District status, finishing second in the world in achievements that year. This led to his election for a 2-year term as international director in St. Louis, Missouri in 1996, representing all the Toastmasters in the rest of the world outside North America. In 2000 in Miami, he was elected third vice president and went on to serve as international president in the year 2003-2004, the first and still the only European to do so in the 96-year history of this organization. As president, he presided over an international board of 23 and 200,000 members in 10,000 clubs in 90 countries, several of which he visited during his year of office. Please help me welcome Distinguished Toastmaster, past international president, Ted Corcoran.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Carol. Morning, District Governor Kristen. It's 7 o'clock here and it's dark already, but it's my pleasure to be invited to present this educational to you this evening. My last visit was actually 3 years ago at the end of November, last month, when I visited the District 33 conference when Guy Dawson was the district governor at the time. I met Steve Goldstein, of course, and Carol. Steve brought me to the SpaceX club. They wanted me to start a Toastmasters club on Mars, but I declined. Kay Collis, of course, is an old friend of mine, and I got to know Maureen Zappala, your district representative, quite well. She played in the World Final this year. So if you were at the district conference in 2017, you might have remembered my keynote address. The title of it was, "What Happened in Vegas Didn't Stay in Vegas." And I told everyone about my experiences in 1992, when I last visited Vegas for Toastmasters. Let me see, that's 25 years between my last visit and my official one previously. And what I learned in 1992 in Vegas at the training sessions changed my life, changed my district forever. And what I learned resulted in our district, my district, 71, being distinguished or better for 18 of the next 21 years. After being 20 years previously being distinguished or better 3 times. So how did that miracle happen? How did we change so much from one 20-year period to the next 20-year period? What made the difference? Well, when I got to the training, I was being trained as part of the overseas people because all of you had regionals at the time, and you were trained in June. We weren't trained until August at the convention because it was obviously too expensive at the time to bring us all together. And I was speaking and chatting with the overseas trios, and they were nearly all supremely successful. Southern Africa, Australia, 3 districts, New Zealand, a district, the Philippines. We were just the poor boys. In fact, I remember exactly how many clubs we had when I went to Vegas in 92. I was the club growth director equivalent, and we had exactly 56 clubs. Well, today between District 71 and 91, because like you with 33, we reformed, there's now just a few short of 400. But what I found out was all of these overseas districts had so many committees and so many chairs and so many people all pressing down on the club to do more. And one day I was staying in the cheapy hotel across the road from Bally's, where called the Dunes. Of course, you're all too young now to remember the Dunes, but it's now a lake in front of Bellagio. I put a curse on it. I was waiting to cross the street to Bally's, and there was no bridge that time. There was just a set of traffic lights. And I was waiting at the set of traffic lights for my signal to go across, when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, into my head came, but if I could get the people in the club to want to do it because they wanted to do it, then the district could help them and they would achieve their goals, and everything they did would fall on our bottom line. So I went across and I found the district governor, Brian, and the program quality director equivalent, came back to my room in the Dunes, and we came up with a system called the Club Excellence Program. We introduced it in November 1992. And by June 1993, just 7, 8 months later, we were number 6 in the world. Would you believe that? Number 6. The next year we were 20th. The next year we were 2nd. The next year we were 13th. The next year we were 6th. The next year we were 7th. How in the name of goodness did we move from total nothingness to being top of the world? Of course, that led to my election as international director, which in course led to my election as international president. So how did we manage to do that? A very simple psychological change. Instead of the clubs working for the district was working for the clubs. Just think about that. The clubs had a goal. We helped them get it, their goal. But of course, everything they did, the district got, and has continued like that ever since. It's quite amazing psychologically to turn from district wanting, district demanding, district requiring, to the district being, we're here for you, we'll help you. But of course, that depends on the clubs wanting to do it in the first place. So my presentation tonight will hopefully make you aware about all of this. It may upset some of you, and I'm sorry if it does. But, hard questions have to be asked, and it's not a reflection on anybody past or present about what's happening. So here goes. I have another 40 minutes left. Well, I had until this stuck for some reason. Jeez, how did that happen? Press escape. Okay. Right, let's see what's happened now. Can I keep talking while I... Yeah, hold on now. Yeah, here we go. What I'll talk about in the next 40 minutes is this, what I covered today. Isn't this amazing? Isn't it that this thing won't? Yes, here we go. Mission and our core values, because I always start with that. I'll talk about situational awareness. I'll talk about the primary focus on the district goals for this year. I'll talk about the Distinguished Club Program. It's a vital part of district success. I'll talk about recognition and how important it is. I'll talk about leadership is action, not position. Just because you're the leader doesn't get things done. It's what you do in that position. Talk about teamwork. And I talk about the importance of a club and district-wide success culture. So we'll get through that bit by bit. So I always start with the mission. We build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. Well, there you see it in one line. We support all clubs in achieving excellence, provided they want to, of course. And that's where it all starts. They have to want to. And the club mission, you all have it off by heart. I'll be repeating it again in a minute, so I won't read it now. And we all know about the core values: integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Now, I believe that situational awareness is vital for change to happen. If you don't know where you are, there's no way you're going to do anything about it. It's extremely important. It's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to change without situational awareness. How aware are your people in District 115 of what is happening and what needs to be done and how everybody can actually help? Have a look at just a start about the big picture. You can see way back in 88, we had about 150,000 members worldwide. When I joined first, it was about that. It was a very small organization, really small. Then by 1998, we had grown to about 175,000. And if you can move across to 2004, when I was the president, we exceeded the 200,000 mark for the first time, and the 10,000 clubs. But look at the growth ever since then, from 2003-04 up to over 300,000, 350,000. Now that was in 2018, and we have grown some since, but of course we have fallen back this year due to the COVID. So team members must know. They must know who they are. By that, I mean, have they got a sense of identity? Are they proud to belong to the club? Is the club proud to be part of the district? Are they proud to be part of a team that's changing people's lives by giving them the confidence and the confidence to advance their careers, etc.? Where they fit in the big picture? Does anybody tell them what the big picture is, both for the district and for the bigger world of Toastmasters worldwide? Do they know what they're supposed to do? Do they know why they're supposed to do it? Do they know how they're supposed to do it? When it is to be completed? How well they're expected to do it? And how well they're doing. Now, I'd say it was about the early to middle 2000s when I came across a book, small little book, by a man called Ferdinand Fournier, spelled Fournies. And the title of his book was, Why Employees Don't Do What They're Supposed to Do. That's employees that obviously are working in an organization. But I think it also applies to a voluntary organization. If everyone in a club or in a district could answer yes to all those questions, I think you would have a very successful club and district. Sense of identity, where they fit in, know exactly what they're supposed to do. They have a real good why. They know how. They know there's a deadline. They know how well they're expected to do it. And there's something that keeps telling them, this is how we're doing. Okay. So we have 3 key performance indicators for the next year, for this year, are the minimum goals to achieve distinguished district status, deadline, June next year, based on last year end results. There are 3 key performance indicators: club goal, payments goal, and distinguished club goal. Now, there's something very important here. Of those 3 goals, who or what in the district deliver numbers 2 and 3? See, if I was present in person, I could ask for somebody to answer, but because I'm not, I can't. Well, the answer is very obvious. The clubs, the members, exactly. The members and the clubs provide that. Okay, the club goal is a district responsibility, but when you think about it, it's club members working in the district that do it as well. So your success is dependent on how well the clubs do KPI 2 and 3. I leave that sink in for a minute. So to be distinguished selector presidents, the club must have nice 5, 7, or 9. We all know that, or have grown by 5. That program that I told you about that I came up with in 1992 in Vegas made our club made our district so successful that I sent it to Len Jury, the president, the international president, when I got on the board. And that's what you have now is the Distinguished Club Program. It's changed slightly, of course, but that's what led to it. And there was a lot of dispute over whether we should have an award for any club that had less than 20 members, because that was the rule at the time. You had to have 20 members. I argued very strongly that there was no incentive whatsoever for a club that had 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever to be working in the new Distinguished Program if they had to get to 20. So there was a compromise, grow by 5, which I think is very fair. You have a choice of being a 20 or grow by 5. You all know that, of course. So I'm going to talk about the club mission again then, because we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in growth in self-confidence, personal growth. Very simple. But have you ever read the TI promise to would-be members on its website? This is what they promise to a person who looks up Toastmasters International to see, is it worthwhile joining this organization? And with Toastmasters, the learning never stops. The website says, join Toastmasters and you will improve your public speaking skills, build leadership skills. You were discussing there when I came on at about 6:45 or 10:45 your time about area directors and so on. If you want to build your leadership skills, become an area director. You're dealing with new people. You're leading. You don't build leadership skills by reading about it in books or watching YouTube or any other thing. You build it by working at it in real life. Toastmasters promises us, the new person, that will maximize your potential. You'll enjoy unlimited personal growth. You will be able to work on networking. You will be able to practice writing speeches and presenting, which of course is the most obvious one. You gain a competitive advantage in the workplace. And it builds self-confidence and self-awareness. That's what we promise. So somebody sees this and says, oh, I'm going to join the Toastmasters Club. And they do. But they can be unfortunate or fortunate. They join a club that delivers all of that, or they can join a club that doesn't. And of all the clubs in the world, about 50% of them achieve distinguished club status any year. So when the new program, DCP program, came in 1988, 89, the number was 32%, because I was still around at the time, 32%. And in that time, which is now, what, 30 years ago, is it? Oh my God, I'm getting old. It has only risen to 50. So 50% of the clubs worldwide are not distinguished. Are they delivering what TI promises? In my view, very few of them are. And I suppose I better tell you a story here about, because I wanted to tell you anyway. I was invited to 2 districts 2 years ago. No, last year. I'm losing track of time with this COVID business. I don't know what week it is. And there were the conferences were 2 weeks apart. So I got to visit a whole lot of clubs in between. I went to this city, big city, sizable city. I won't say where. There were 5 or 6 local Toastmasters met me and my driver, as it were, my escort for lunch. So I'm sitting at lunch, and this lady is sitting opposite me. We'll call her Mary, which is not her real name. So we're chatting away, and I said, this is the middle of May, 2019. I say to Mary, how are you getting on in the Distinguished Club program? Oh, she says, no, we don't bother with that. She says, I don't really understand it. And of course, I'm shocked. So I said, do you not discuss it at your committee meetings or council meetings or whatever you call them? Oh, no, she said, we don't hold any of those. Oh, I said, how many members have you got? She says, 8. And before I could say anything, she says, no, I think it's only 7. No, she said, I think it's only 6. Now, Mary was a lady who had traveled 500 miles to attend that district's conference the previous weekend. So she had gone 500 miles one way and 500 miles back. So she was not somebody lacking in interest or enthusiasm or whatever. A lady in her 50s, educated lady with all her marbles. So what was going wrong? So I asked this question all over the world, and nobody's got it right yet. The answer, I mean, what did the area director say or do when he visited the club? And the answer is, because you're not going to get it right, he was a member of the club. He was a member of the club. He was a young man in his early 30s, smart, well-dressed, articulate, educated. He was all those things. He was an ideal area director. And he was still a member of that club that didn't know about the DCP, never held meetings. Honestly, it came as a complete shock to me that I could visit a club that's what they knew. And as I went around these 2 districts, I visited 15 clubs altogether. You know, I'm a sucker for punishment, but I enjoyed actually. And of course, I saw the countryside as well and cities. Of the 15 clubs, only 1 did the Distinguished Club program and did it very well. There were presidents distinguished every year. The other 14 didn't know and didn't care. So I got into the habit of printing off the status report off the dashboard and putting it in my pocket. And when I would go to the club, I would take it out and I'd say, Mr. President or Madam President, have you seen this? So I remember very much one guy, I took it out and I said, you see this, Mr. President, you started off the year with 14 clubs. And now you have 17 and you have 7 goals. And with 2 more members, this is the middle of May, you can be a select distinguished club. And he looked over sideways. He says, we won't bother with that till we get to 25 members. That's what he said. Okay, I got to move on. I made the point, I think. So your role as the club and district leaders, every club working to achieve at least distinguished club status. Got to have a clear purpose, a goal, have to have a goal. The results are measured by the DCP. It's down to individual and collective effort. The DCP is better interpreted as documented changes in people. That's Margaret Page, the incoming president next year, international president. That's what she told me. She had used that phrase, documented changes in people. And when you think about it, that's exactly what happens in the DCP. Because every time somebody does something, they change. It might be imperceptible, but it's the aggregate that counts. Somebody gives a speech, an evaluation, counts the crutch word, whatever. They're changing. And that's what the DCP measures, documented changes in people. And it takes expertise coupled with energy and enthusiasm. And if you do all that, It equals success and pride in your club and district. That's it on one page. Okay, let's move on a bit. Some advantages to being a distinguished club. We don't talk about them enough. It develops teamwork. Everybody feels part of the project. Members feel a sense of belonging, provides a sense of identity, as I said earlier on, who we are. Meetings are more enjoyable. They now have a greater sense of purpose. Members feel a sense of pride of being a member of the club and achieving awards. A positive and achieving club culture is fostered and evolves, vital for ongoing. Members tend to hang around longer because it's more enjoyable. Members more likely to take on club officer roles. Nothing succeeds like success, and maybe even area director roles. So why do clubs not participate in the DCP? Now, this can be painful for some of you to listen to this, and I'm sorry if you're offended, but I'm here to I'm here to help, not to criticize. They don't know what they don't know. That's a famous phrase, isn't it? They don't know what they don't know. They don't know why they should be doing it. Those 14 clubs that I visited May 12 months ago, they had no why. Absolutely not. They know what's required, but don't know how to do it. Well, that's where the district comes in providing the know-how. The district is there to help. As that lady who commented, and I didn't get your name, the lady who has been an area director a few times, it's not a, you don't go in like some military person saying you must, and the idea is they want to, and you're there to help them. They know, they do know, but they can't be bothered. Okay. They know, but don't understand the positive advantages for doing it. There is no downside for failing. They receive no recognition for doing it. They are just social clubs. Their underperformance is not highlighted anywhere or at any time. And number 10, district leaders attach little or no importance to clubs achieving distinguished status. By that, I don't mean they don't see it as important, but public importance, how they behave, what they write, what they do when they speak. Now, if you find that's hard, that's my experience over all those years. How do we change that? Well, how did your district do last year in June? Can anybody tell me? By the way, before you answer, I know the answer. All right, I'm going to tell you, all right?
Not well.
Look at that. Presidents distinguished. 17. Presidents distinguished. Select. 1. Distinguished. 2. There's really something mysterious about this. How could 17 clubs, almost a quarter of your clubs, well, certainly a fifth anyway, get to President Distinguished with 9 and 10 goals, and the rest of them aren't at the races? What was going on the ones on the left-hand side, President Distinguished, and what wasn't going on the ones that are not mentioned here tonight? So the total distinguished clubs was 20, equals 24.39%. And the minimum required is 40%. So the next mystery is, how did your colleagues that up and left you to District 33 have 45% distinguished clubs? Well, what changed in District 115? You need to think about this. How did it happen that we had 17 wonderful clubs and 3 good, excellent results as well, 20 excellent results out of 82 clubs? How did that happen? I can't understand it. If it was all very strong or all very weak, I could understand that, but I can't understand the half and half. And I don't know whether any of my friends here, any friends from bachelors and bachelorettes is on, which I visited. That's Kay Collis's club and Anna Karenina, but they're not on the list. Oh, well, they won't speak to me ever again now for revealing that, revealing that. But so here's the thing, though. The people on this call, how many of you have seen that list? How many of you have seen that list displayed like that? Yes, Jesse Oakley has his hand up, of course. Yes, Jesse, good man. Nice to meet you again, Jesse. You've done a great job for Toastmasters, and you keep doing it. But how many other people in the district have seen it? That's the problem. It's kept secret, or I won't say it's kept secret. It doesn't occur to somebody to make it public, I suppose is a better way. So I'm going to then ask some hard questions. What individual recognition or appreciation did these clubs receive? Where? When? How many times? Was it recognized and appreciated at conference, even though it was a Zoom conference this year? At contests, how was it done? At club officer training and TLI, what mention did clubs receive? Was it recognized and appreciated by area directors during their 2 visits? An area director came to my first club, 2 years ago. I know him, he's a member of my second club. He's the area director. My first club has been President Distinguished 20 years consecutively, ever since it was introduced in 88-89. He spoke for 5 minutes. Do you think he ever mentioned the fact that the club had achieved 20 years consecutively a President's Distinguished Award? Not once. As if it never happened. Now, my club knows the importance of that because I speak up a couple of times a year and remind all the new members about it. I was at my second club meeting last Monday week, and the new area director arrived. And again, the young president said, I've got a banner, he said, from Toastmasters. We were Presidents Distinguished. And he put the banner down. That's all he said. When the area director spoke for 5 minutes at the end, do you think she mentioned it? Not once. And my second club has been Presidents Distinguished for more than 10 years consecutively. I can't tell you when it started. So here's the deal. Here are the clubs doing the business. Nobody says well done or recognize it, even though, as I said 10 minutes ago, they are responsible for 2 of the key performance indicators for the district. So was it recognized and appreciated on social media, on the district website, in the newsletter? I can't answer any of those. But I came up with a little story there during the summer. I use a little analogy. Do you have such things as beehives in Vegas, or is it too hot for bees? Carol, you're nodding your head. Anyway, you know what a beehive is, don't you? You do. All right.
Yeah, we know what beehives. I think most everybody knows what a beehive is.
All right. Okay. So in a beehive, you have a queen bee at the top. Then you have some drones who just hang around waiting for trouble. And then you have the workers. And the workers, the workers are working all. They only live 6 weeks, apparently, but they're working very hard for the 6 weeks. And they work and they work and they work. And then the fall comes. And what happens, you think? But the beekeeper comes along and takes away all the honey. And the poor bees have to start off again the following year, 0. Isn't that a bit like a Toastmasters club? You have a queen bee or a king bee, the case may be, you have drones in every club. They just hang around and cause trouble. And you have all the workers. Woo-hoo, and they're working away and they're doing this and they're doing that. So on. And come midnight on the 30th of June, TI swoops in and takes away everything. And the poor club is left with zero on the 1st of July. And nobody ever says a word to them. You were great. You had a fantastic year. We're so proud of you. I think that's a great analogy because it's what I have experienced. All right, I won't stay here any longer. I go on a bit. So one of my favorite phrases is what the management regard as important, the staff pay attention to. I used to use it at work. And I'll tell you why. What the district leadership team regard as important, the club leaders pay attention to. And here's something I stole from a friend of mine. She's a psychotherapist. Where the focus goes, the energy flows. Where the focus goes, the energy flows. So when you're having an area council meeting or a division council meeting or a district, what's first on the agenda? I bet you I could put $10 with you. It's not distinguished club. It's contests or training or new system of communicating or all that good stuff, but has very little to do with what gets you successful. Now, in a previous life before I retired, I was the head of safety for Irish Railways for the whole country. And railways are very dangerous pieces of equipment because when they strike each other, people get killed. So every senior manager or middle manager in Irish Railways, safety was number one priority. Had to be, because we had 2 major accidents back in the 80s and people got killed, 19 in one case and 7 in another. And I lived through that, and I know what it means to be on duty the night there's a train accident when people are killed. And I would never want it to happen to anyone. So when I went to the board meeting, as I did every month, the first item on the agenda was the safety report. That sent a strong message to everybody throughout the organization. Safety was our number one priority. And then we got a new chairman, and I noticed that safety began to drop down the agenda. And then one day I met him in the street because he was not a man you could contradict at the meeting. And I said, Chairman, I said, do you believe that safety should be our number one priority? Oh, he says, of course, Ted, we can't be going around killing people. That were his exact words. Then Chairman, I said, why is it number 10 on the board agenda? And it was back number 1 from that day on. Do you understand the importance of the message that you send? What happens at club visits? What do they talk about? Like I've just told you about my 2 experiences recently. Has every area director the task of having a talking point about what happened in the Distinguished Club program? What's happening on social media? What's happening at training events? What recognition does the district do? The main thing is to keep the main thing. The main thing, Dr. Stephen Colby. There he is with me. I presented him with the Golden Gavel Award in Reno in 2004. Lovely, lovely man. So here's a proven method at club officer training for encouraging clubs' participation. You recognize the clubs who achieved awards the previous year, because COT is usually the start of the current year, and display it. Thank the club for their service, praise. Number 2, hand the club status report for previous year to each club present. The report is available on the dashboard. Allow 10-15 minutes for each club to decide this DCP goal for the current year. Unlikely any club rep will say none or decline to participate. Publicly record each club's goal on a flip chart. Now there is a public record of the commitment to a goal. And then at the second COT, produce that flip chart and ask each club to say how are they doing in in achieving it. Very simple, very easy to do, no cost, but hugely effective. At the area director visits, discuss the previous year outcome and the current goals. Recognize achievements if appropriate. Offer help. At second visit, hand out the current status report and ask for an update. Now we go back one there because that's the area director doing the number one task on his or her visit is to find out how they're doing, find out they have done, and emphasize the fact that the DCP is important. All right. In April, when TI publishes the distinguished clubs and the dashboard, recognize club awards publicly. Obviously, social media always works. And at the year end, celebrate, celebrate, and celebrate. We had my division had a big celebration here at the end of June for all the successful clubs, for all the clubs in Division C. We had an 84% success rate, by the way, of 18 clubs, 11 were presidents, 4 were select, and the others had some problems. Okay, are you ready and willing and able to boost to 115 performance? Have you got a why now? What is it? To learn, sense of service, change people's lives, dedication to excellence, or pride in your club and district? Okay, now that we know who we are and we know the big picture, we know the what, we know the when, we know the why, we know the who, and that's not a band from the 60s. Let's move on to the how. I see Carol is revealing her age. She's laughing at that, so she must have danced to the who. Jennifer Smith is smiling as well. Jennifer, I can see you and Carol and kind of see Jesse. All right, so managing versus leading. Managing is a process, you manage things. Leading is a skill, you lead people. If management is the what you do, then leadership is the how you do it. This is my version of it. There's thousands of books about the whole subject. So here we go. Here's the management cycle, the wheel. This is management. You plan, you organize, you implement and instruct, you coordinate, you monitor, control, you review. And because it's a wheel, you go around again and tweak the plan and around and round and round. But here's the thing. If there's excellent leadership, that wheel just goes around and round without any effort. Where there's poor leadership, it stops and it stutters and it goes backwards and just blows up. That's what leadership is. It makes that happen. It's because here's the high performance leadership program, have a vision, sets direction and persuades. They're all to get the train moving, the district moving, or the area moving, or the division, or the club. And then to keep it moving, support, you develop, and you appreciate. See, the recognition is up there at appreciate. It's all there in the high performance leadership program. This is what Kobe said. Great leaders unleash the collective talent and passion of people towards the right goal. Both management and leadership are vital, and either one without the other is insufficient. Here's his 7 habits. I love them. I love the one about sharpening the saw particularly. You know the story, the guy's walking through the woods, he sees this woodcutter, he's sawing away and there's sweat pouring off his brow, and the visitor stops and says, "What's the problem?" And the guy says, the saw has no edge. And the visitor says, why don't you edge it? "Oh, I have no time." So he can't stop sawing to get the saw edged. He just keeps going. I love that story. This is what Einstein said, leadership is action, not position. Helen Keller said, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Together everyone achieves more, our team. There's no I in team. What is a team? Group of people who work together to accomplish specific common goals. They share responsibility for their tasks and depend upon one another to achieve them. None of us is as smart as all of us. This is my favorite quotation, Japanese proverb. None of us is as smart as all of us. This is what Pater Lencioni says. not finance, not strategy, not technology. It is teamwork that remains the ultimate competitive advantage, both because it is so powerful and so rare. This is about delegation. Better 100 people do one thing than one person attempt to do 100 things. So what makes for a high performance club and district-wide success culture? Definition of culture is the way we do things around here. All right, number one, there's a clear vision and strategy. This applies at every level of the organization. There's a clear vision and strategy. There's a focus on member success and well-being. Results matter. There's an inclusive team environment. Teams, individuals are empowered to deliver results. Communication is current, inclusive, and regular. Support is readily available and everybody knows it. Decision-making is timely. Collaboration is evident. And accountability is a given. That makes for a district-wide culture at every level. So what I covered today, missions, values, situational awareness, district goals, distinguished club program, recognition, leadership, teamwork, and the importance of a club and district-wide success culture. So now, team members, that's you, now know who you are. You are the proud members of TI and D115, where you fit in the big picture. It doesn't make great reading, but it can be changed. What you are supposed to do, achieve distinguished club district status. When it is to be completed, next June. Why you're supposed to do it? Well, now you have a why, haven't you? If you haven't, I've been wasting my time for the last 40 minutes. How are you supposed to do it? By effective, competent management and leadership. How well are you expected to do it? You achieve the awards. How well are you doing? It can be read every day on the TI dashboard. They're the answers to all those questions I posed at the start. Finally, the big five of highly performing teams. Team members have a shared vision. They communicate effectively. They honor their commitments. They hold each other accountable. They maintain a positive attitude. Has your team the big five? You see those skydivers over on the right of the picture? 35 of them, as far as I could count. They must have had all of those things to jump out of a plane like that and trust each other. There are three types of people. These are the people in District 115, the ones who make things happen. These are the people in District 33, those who wait for things to happen. And then, let me see, I can't think of a district, but anonymous district, they say, oh, what happened? What happened? And our last slide is Zig Ziglar. I spoke to him once when he received the Golden Gavel Award at TI. He says, it's our attitude, not our aptitude, that determines our altitude. And he also says, remember, the elevator to success is out of service, but the stairs are always open. Nothing happens by wishing it to happen. You must make it happen. And that takes hard work and dedication and commitment. And I have the greatest pride in the numbers of Toastmasters in every district around the world who are committed and enthusiastic and spend their spare time working for Toastmasters, because they know the effect it can have on the beneficial effects on people. So there it is. It's I think it's 10 to 12 in Las Vegas, and I'm done. Back to you, Carol.
Thank you so much, Ted, for that.